What is up, everybody, and welcome to the second video on this new TikTok account, which again I will also be posting on YouTube. Well, initially I was gonna have this completely recorded and sped up at a like times 10 speed from beginning to end. You were gonna see me build this greenhouse. Unfortunately, my capture card decided to run out of storage, or while I was connected to my computer, ran out of storage midway through, and so it didn't save the gameplay, but you're just going to see me halfway through kind of finish and touch up this greenhouse that I've been working on, and then we're going to get to the Reddit story. And welcome to the second video on this new TikTok account, which again I will also be posting on YouTube. This is going to be a series that I want to do either weekly or bi-weekly, we'll see, and it's a series that is not original to me. If anyone has seen these Reddit stories while someone plays Minecraft, kind of cultivated by Baby Jamie 1, known on YouTube, I absolutely love these videos. All the credit goes to this dude. It is such a relaxing thing to put on in the background while you yourself play Minecraft or any other game. And in no way am I trying to copy him or take credit. I simply think that, I would personally love to hear more people do this, just because I like hearing opinions on certain Reddit stories and threads. So I'm going to try my hand at it. But again, all the credit goes to Baby Jamie 1 on YouTube. I think Baby No Jamie is the official handle. But awesome channel. So we're going to get into the first Reddit story. I think I'll either do 3 to 5 of these, depending on how long I need to cover a video. But first, what I'm going to be doing on the world here is I'm going to be building a greenhouse in the backyard of the castle that I showed you guys in the last video. It's pretty empty back here, and I want to do this greenhouse and then kind of finish up the backyard with a deck for the pool and maybe some more pathing around it. But I really want to fill in these empty spots because it's a lot of empty grass. So yeah, you're just going to be seeing me do that while I go over these Reddit stories. All right, story number 1. This was posted 29 days ago. It says, I, 23 female, met my boyfriend's 25 male work wife for the first time, and I'm devastated. So throwaway account because this is pretty personal drama, and I don't want all of my friends knowing about this just yet. I have been with my boyfriend for 5 years now, and he's been at his current job for a few years. We will call him Jake. I've never met any of his coworkers until last night, but there's one in particular who we will call Amy. He sometimes does favors for her, fixing her car, going to her house to fix stuff around her house, etc. And I was never really concerned because he told me all of his coworkers are a lot older than him. However, one night while he was asleep, his guy friends kept blowing up his phone, so I answered to let him know Jake was sleeping and so was I. So please stop calling. Anyways, before I put the phone down, I noticed 5 unread text notifications from Amy. I guess some of the spam notifications were from her. One of them said, "Great, Jake, now everyone thinks we were fucking." This really concerned me. So the next day, after Jake got home from work, I asked him about it. He said that both him and Amy were late for work that morning, so everybody probably assumed that, and it was just a joke. I thought it was a weirdly unprofessional joke and expressed my discomfort. He invited me to the bar with him and his coworkers that night so I could meet her and see it was nothing to worry about. It did not soothe my nerves at all. Turns out, Amy is not a lot older than him. She's only 3 older than him, and super pretty. The entire night she was all over him, touching him, leaning on him, putting her arms around him, and even kissed him on the cheek, and he acted like it was normal. They were constantly teasing each other in that middle schooler who doesn't know how to probably flirt yet kind of way. She told me all about how she loves him like a brother, and also told me she's had sex with half of the other coworkers, and that she's got the next morning off work because she sent a coworker nudes to get him to cover for her. Later on, she started crying and sobbing at the bar. Actual tears, because she's so lonely and wants someone to love her, and my boyfriend ended up having to comfort her. I am just unsure what to do or say. My boyfriend kept acting like this was normal, and he wasn't doing anything wrong by entertaining this behavior. I can't ask him to cut her off. They're on the same unit and they have to work together. I literally do not know what to do about this, and I'm just disgusted knowing that he's been going on these years that he's worked with her. There's a typo in there. How can I set boundaries when they're forced to be around each other all the time at work? All right, first I want to say, in no way, shape, or form are you crazy for not being okay with this. Nobody with like some essence of normalcy as it pertains to how they view relationships would be okay with this. But I'm sure you don't have that concern. There's two issues I see here that I would, right away kind of bring up. One, you've got the issue that Jake here doesn't see anything wrong with his coworkers' behavior and how they are with one another. And then the second one is this coworker's behavior and how she, even in the presence of you, his girlfriend, is fine with acting the way she is in front of you with him. Both of those are an issue, and you were right to want to set boundaries as it pertains to this. How can you do it? Well, at this point, I'd probably say you need someone to contact HR. That's pretty gross kind of coworker relationship boundaries being tested by this girl. She claims to have slept with half the coworkers, and then simply is saying she has sent nudes to a coworker in order to have her shift covered. That alone is enough of an investigation where I don't know what their jobs are, but enough of a situation where I could see her being suspended or given a warning or possibly terminated because she would do something like that. And I would probably I would probably urge you to have a serious sit down with your boyfriend. One, to address the first issue, reevaluate what kind of boundaries he's okay with, and put him in your situation. If you had a male coworker that you were close with and he's leaning on you, touching you, putting his arm around you, kissing you on the cheek, would he genuinely be okay with that? Probably not. And if he is okay with that, that's an entirely other issue that I think is even more severe. But bouncing off of that, after that talk, I would then probably, if you guys can come to terms and agree that that's not okay, you need to tell him that he needs to contact HR and kind of report those things, because you're not okay with him working with someone like that. And that's not okay to have a coworker who, is kind of crossing these boundaries and these lines with other coworkers. It's just not okay. It's not okay at all. And something's got to be seriously wrong if she thinks it's okay to act like that with your boyfriend in front of you. Now, another avenue you could go that's the more, empathetic route is you yourself talking with her. And honestly, I'd probably say it could be effective if she is a well-intentioned human being and isn't trying to home wreck your relationship. You could, have your own sit down talk with her and say, hey, I just want to say I can't speak for all the guys at work, and I really don't care what you do at work as long as it doesn't have to do with Jake. And I'm not okay with your guys' behavior, specifically yours. I'm not okay with your guys' relationship. I don't think it's okay that you touch him at all, kiss him on the cheek, or rely on him to comfort you. It puts me in an uncomfortable situation. And it's also not your place to kind of expect that behavior from him when he's in a relationship with someone else. So I'm going to politely ask you to no longer engage in a friendship with him, or I'm going to have to go through other channels pertaining to human resources to tackle this issue. And you don't even need to include that last part if she's already going to be on board with you. Maybe she doesn't have the self-evaluation or she hasn't done one of herself to kind of realize that what she's doing isn't okay. And again, put her in your shoes. If she was in a relationship, would she be fine with another female coworker of this hypothetical boyfriend acting the way that the way she is with Jake? Probably not. But that's probably the route I would go. You can go one of those two ways. You either sit down with your boyfriend, come to an agreement, and he reports things to HR, or you talk with that girl. All right, here is story number 2. And just, talking about story number 1 as a quick reflection, that one I think is relatively nothing crazy. That's something relationships will tackle as time goes on, depending on, work-life balance and everything. So this next one I think has more of a moral ambiguity in terms of values and trust and bonds. So let's get right into it. All right, and This has to do with bachelor and bachelorette parties, but they refer to it as hens and bucks. I've never heard that term, but I'm going to repeat it back how it was written, but just know this is in reference to bachelor and bachelorette parties. My 26 male partner and 27 female. Oh, wait, sorry. My 26 male partner, 27 female, did something questionable at her hens, and I'm not sure if I can move on from it. My partner, 27 female, and I, 26 male, have been together for 5 years. I asked her to marry me the year before last, and our wedding is in March. We've just had our bucks and hens last night, and something's happened that I just don't know how I can get over. As is with every bucks and hens, strippers were going to get involved. My partner's friends have organized to go to a male strip club where she was part of the action. My God, there's so many typos in this. She called me 10 minutes beforehand and asked if I was comfortable with her doing it. I said I was because I was also going to be going to strippers as well, so fair is fair. The next day before we went, I called my partner to check in, and she expressed that she wasn't comfortable with me going, which I thought was a double standard, but I agreed, so we didn't go. When I talked to her about her experience, she told me what it was, which was definitely downplayed as to what was involved. I expressed to her that I thought it was a double standard, that she did it and I didn't, and I wasn't comfortable with it because of that. Then I saw the video of it. It involved a lot more than what she initially told me. I'm not going to go into specifics. I've told her that I'd be able to get over this if not for the fact that she didn't want me to do the same thing, and it's a bit of a double standard, and how betrayed I feel about that. Her response is to now try to organize strippers for me to have the same experience. But it doesn't work like that, especially after I stopped because she was uncomfortable. What I'm asking is, am I stupid for wanting to fix this? I don't know. I don't want to throw everything we have away over something like this, but I don't know if I can get over it. I would be okay if I had done the same thing during the bucks, but I just feel betrayed. I don't know what I can do to fix it. TLDR, my partner did something at her hens, didn't let me do the same thing at my bucks, and I feel betrayed. Okay, so I had an opinion on this story up until that second to last line you said in here, which was, I'd be okay with it if I was allowed to do the same thing. What that tells me is that you don't necessarily have an issue with what you saw in the video. You have an issue that you didn't get to partake in the fun the way that she did. This is more of a FOMO type of fear of missing out situation than it is of a jealousy one. Because if it was jealousy, I'd totally understand, which is why I disagree with what you said that bucks and hens, again, bachelor and bachelorette parties, are always going to have strippers involved. No, they do not. No, they do not need to. And I don't think that should be the norm. Typically, those things are just going to complicate it right before a wedding. But getting into what you said in the end, had you been allowed to partake, then you would have been okay with it. If that's truly how you feel, then where your wife is coming from is she was going to be jealous, and where you're coming from is, hey, you made me miss out on having fun with the guys. I wanted, to have fun with strippers. Plain and simple, if this was the case, then first, I wouldn't say your wife organizing things so you can actually have fun with strippers is a good idea at all. You should not let that happen. You guys are married now. That's just going to make things worse. And from your wife's standpoint, if you are making it to where she seems like she has to do that to fix things, her jealousy is going to erupt like crazy if you go through with that, and then you're going to have a even bigger issue. So doing that is not going to fix the issue at all, because she's coming from a standpoint of jealousy, it seems. For yourself, if you really, really feel like you missed out on having fun with strippers because of what she did, well, life is full of double standards, especially when it comes to female-male dynamics, okay? Like, that's just how it is. I think the mature way to go about this is to move on and accept the fact that you were okay with your wife having fun with male strippers. You just weren't okay with not doing it yourself. The time for that has passed. You guys are married. And if you're going to dwell on that and try to make it anything more than it is and go back in time and relive that experience you didn't get to live because, her jealousy got in the way, you're going to make things worse. So I would simply just say, let it go and move on. All right, so this next post is going to be our third and final story. It's back from 2022, so this one's not as recent, but it's long and it also has an update on it, so I think it'll be a good one. This one reads, "My own friend convinced my husband that I cheated on him. He kicked me out of our house, and now she finally said she lied. I, 25 female, don't even know where to start because I'm devastated. She, 25 female, and I were best friends for over 10 years before all this happened. She was my sister, my friend, the person I trusted the most, but to her, I was never anything. Because if I had meant something to her, she wouldn't have stabbed me in the back just because I married the man she wanted. And this is important because she did all of this for that very reason. 8 years ago, we met my husband, 29 male, at college. We were in our first year, and he was the assistant for one of our professors. The three of us became very good friends until he and I started dating. At the time, she never told me that she had feelings for him, so I never questioned my relationship with him. During all these years, I trusted her with very important things about my husband and myself. The last thing was the most important thing that I've ever told her, and that was that I'm pregnant. I even told her before I told my husband because I took the pregnancy test while I was with her because I trusted her with my whole life. And then the test came back positive. We both cried because it was a planned baby. She seemed so happy that my chest hurts knowing that it was all fake. 6 months have passed since that day, and my husband started acting weird. He was always mad at me for absolutely no reason until I had enough and confronted him. He told me he's mad because he knows the truth. I asked him what he was talking about, and he showed me all the infidelity evidence he has. They were chats from a dating app between a man and me, and I use quotes because I never created that account. Someone else did and uses my photos. Photos that I never posted and that I only have on my phone. So it's impossible that someone has stolen them from my social media. In those chats, I told this man that I was pregnant and that I didn't know if it was his or my husband's. In those chats, I even talked to the man about recent sexual encounters while I was pregnant and things like that no husband or wife wants to read about their partner. I told my husband that everything was fake and that I wanted to know where he got those screenshots, and he told me that they are screenshots of my old phone, a phone that I supposedly used to talk to other men. He told me that my best friend told him everything because she couldn't look him in the eyes knowing the truth. Apparently, she knew about my infidelities and took him to look for evidence on my old phone. And he did, and that's why he was acting weird within these last few weeks. Of course, I told him that my friend was lying and that she probably used my phone without me knowing to do so, that I never created any account, and that I never slept with another man other than him in my whole life, but he didn't believe me. We had a fight and we called her to confront her, but all she said was that she was sorry, but that she no longer wanted to keep lying to one friend to save the other's ass. We had a horrible fight, but she was calm as a fucking psycho, insisting that I'm a cheater. And I couldn't convince my husband that it's all a lie because the evidence indicates that I'm guilty. So he was furious and told me to pack my stuff and get out, that he wanted a divorce and a paternity test. I went to my mother's house and we did the paternity test, which obviously indicates that I'm pregnant, that the baby is his. But still, he didn't believe me that I didn't cheat on him. We had a few more fights after we did the paternity test, and I ended up in the hospital because of the stress. And apparently that made my so-called friend see reason because she told my husband that everything he saw was fake, that it was she who made both accounts, mine and that of the man I was supposedly cheating on him with. She said that she did it because she was jealous because since I'm pregnant, he doesn't pay attention to her anymore. She's very good friends with both of us since we met, and that she lost her mind and acted in the worst way possible. She also said that now she's really sorry, that she never thought all of this would go this far, and that she thought she'd just get mad for a few days, that he'd just get mad for a few days, and then forgive me because she knew that he loves me too much. Since he confessed, he's apologized in 1,000 ways, and we've talked a lot about what happened, and we have decided to give ourselves the space we need. and we still are going to therapy, but I don't know if that will be enough. Our relationship is at its worst. It's screwed up, and I'm afraid we can't work this out. And how could we? We said and did horrible things. During a fight, he told me to pack my stuff. I refused, and he took me by the arm to do it. And he was hurting me, so I pushed him, and he hit a piece of furniture, and that's when he took me by the arms again, but this time he did it to shake me. But he's much stronger than me. Not only am I skinny compared to him, but he's also really tall. And when he did that, he really hurt me. And I don't know if we can be who we were in the past again. In the past, we almost never fought, and if we did, there was never really any violence involved. How can we fix this other than therapy? First, I want to say the chronological order of this, it wasn't clearly stated when you guys got married, but I'm just going to input you guys went to college, you got married, and then got pregnant, was my understanding. Okay, I'm going to read the update, and then we'll get into the commentary of this story. All right, here's the update, which was removed by mods apparently, but yeah, I'm going to read it. Thank you for all the messages you sent me and the comments you left on my first post. I really appreciate it. Things have gotten a lot better since. We talked to my now ex-friend, and she admitted to using my old phone to create that fake profile and also to message the other man, and I use quotes because the man never existed. It was her. She used the phone when she came to my house every day since we had a business together. She knew where the phone was, and she also knew that no one ever used it. So she had everything perfectly planned out, which is scary because she really needs help. I mean, with all of this, it is more than clear that she is a psychopath and needs help. She said all the things she did, and she even told my husband everything. There's a typo here, but I'm presuming that she's saying what the lies that she told the husband were, which was that she told him that I made her pay with her card for the hotels where I met that man, and the truth is that I was never in any of those hotels, and all of that was right there, and it looked real, so of course he believed her. She has been my friend for many years, and she has also been friends with him for over 8 years, so we trusted her, and we never thought she would do something like this. And when she started telling all those lies, it sounded real. In fact, the messages and everything looked real. And I understand why my husband believed it. But if it had been the other way around, maybe I would have believed it too. On the other hand, my husband and I are still trying to cope with all of this. After that violent episode, things got really hard between us. It's not easy to save a marriage once violence is involved, but we are trying. I came back home, and for now, things are fine. But sometimes it's really warm here, and I wear t-shirts, and he doesn't even look at me because I still have the bruises from his hands on my arms. And they don't look too bad now, but they're still there after almost 2 months of that episode. I'm guessing they'll take a while to go away since I'm a very pale person and my skin is very sensitive. But my arms don't hurt anymore or anything like that, so I don't mind the bruises. He's apologized for what he did, and I forgave him because it was something that affected us both. And I understand that we both got violent and we're both guilty for screwing up our relationship. But like I said, we're still trying to get over it. And I guess it will take a while to get over it. It won't be easy, but we're willing to work hard so that everything will get better by the time our baby arrives in a few weeks. That's why we started individual and couples therapy, so we hope everything gets better. Now we're focused on that. We're preparing her room and buying things for her. And for now, that's working. Our relationship is slowly getting back to how it was before, and I'm really happy about that because we've loved each other for 8 years, and the last thing I wanted was to throw away our relationship after all of this time. Because I know how our relationship was, and I know that this was the first time we both reacted like this. And we promised each other that it will never happen again, and we will do everything possible so that it does not happen again. So that's all. So clearly there's some serious subject matter here that has to do with domestic violence. And I don't necessarily want to touch on that aspect because that has more legal implications on whether or not you would want to pursue that. And it sounds like you guys want to work that out. So I'm not going to touch on that. That's an entirely different issue. But in your story, I see 3 main issues that each have their own kind of analysis here. You've got the friendship with your friend that she took advantage of. And she also has a friendship with your husband. She let that boil for 8 years and finally decided to create this elaborate scheme to ruin your guys' relationship. That's issue 1. You've got the second issue of your husband believing her to the point where it basically broke you guys up until your friend told the truth. That's issue 2. And then you have the third issue, which is how your husband physically handled you, which is between you guys and how you want to handle that within a court system if you so choose to. For issues 1 and 2, I'd have to say that your friend, I agree with you, is clearly a psychopath. For someone to go to the lengths of using an old phone of yours that you keep on standby, and she knows you do, and she'll go over to your house because you guys run a business, and she'll use that phone, create fake accounts on a dating app, create fake conversations and details, and then show your husband while you're pregnant in order to break you guys up is just so crazy and disgusting that is not a true friend. I don't know how someone like that, who's that kind of ill-minded in the head, can not do anything and just be on standby for that many years and then just decide to pull the trigger and blow things up the way that they did. Unless your friend has shown signs of doing things like that before in a more minor way, and this is probably the biggest power play that they've made against you. But this is not a friend. This absolutely is not a friend, and you should never talk to this person again. And for how dangerous that they are in terms of using personal photos of you and such to kind of destroy your life, I would try to block them in every which way you can. And you're in good standing to have grounds for a valid restraining order against her. This is awful what she did, and there's no excusing that. As for your husband, look, I cannot fault you for feeling the way that you feel, like that your husband would believe your friend over yourself. But you also acknowledge that if the roles were reversed, you might have believed her too. And I'm with you there. You know, when something like that, I think the first thing your mind goes to is, okay, well, what about this doesn't seem real? And if your friend went to the lengths of using personal photos of you that you've never posted, damn, that's pretty convincing. It's manipulative as hell, which is why I say don't ever talk to that friend again. But it's so manipulative that it could probably convince the significant other that you're doing something, because how else would that have happened? Now, if your friend really did this because she was in love with your husband, sort of tiptoe on the idea that neither of you guys could pick up signs that she had a thing for your husband, maybe? I don't know. Because if you could have, maybe your husband would be able to conceivably put together some pieces that, okay, if she's showing me this and I kind of have an idea that maybe she has a thing for me, maybe she's making all of this up. But again, I don't know the details. So if it really just seemed like a platonic relationship and friendship between the two of them, and she just decided to turn her back on you and create this scheme and show your husband, yeah, unfortunately, like in the digital age of where we're at, especially with how AI is advancing and how widespread everyone's able to just use it so easily and create fake content, it's scary. I mean, at some point, people are going to easily be able to create videos and explicit photos using AI generation that can kind of make it seem like someone's doing something that they're not. And the only way you're going to be able to prove that is, I mean, who knows, right? Like by the naked eye, you can't disprove it. It's going to take a lot more than just that. So yeah, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. But I think for your friend to do something like that, it's good that you guys are going to therapy to talk about it, because if you guys are willing to make it work, then therapy can kind of help you navigate, okay, well, why did you believe her and not me? And you can kind of see each sides of your story. All right, these are all 3 of the Reddit stories today. So now we're going to look at this little greenhouse here. I think it came out pretty well. Again, this is an image that I pulled off of Pinterest. This was the inspiration, and then this is what I built. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on TikTok, I split this up into multiple videos, and if you're watching on YouTube, it's one big video. So yeah, I look forward to doing this more throughout the weeks.